This video was brought to you by the Magic Candle Company. Smell your way around the world. Yes, I'm serious. By using offer code OFFHAND at checkout to save 15% off of your entire order at magiccandlecompany.com. Seriously, smell your way around the world.
The 21st century begins October 1, 1982. EPCOT Center, Walt Disney World.
Our goals for EPCOT Center are quite clear. We want to first entertain, then inform and inspire all who come here, and above all, to instill in our guests a new sense of belief and pride in mankind's ability to shape a world that offers real hope to people everywhere in the world.
My friends, it is finally time. After so many long years, it is finally time for EPCOT to take that step into the dark to become the new version of the beautiful, beautiful theme park it has always been. The footage you are viewing right now on your screens is video that I took last year riding the monorail around what is soon to be World Celebration, or by the time this video comes out, what is now the completed World Celebration. And from everything that I've seen personally, I think, it looks pretty good, okay? There's some things I would change, but we're gonna talk about that later. If you have been to EPCOT at any point within the last few years, you may be familiar with the wonderful world of walls that currently occupies the middle of the park. Or, I keep doing this, I haven't been since they've taken them down, because they have come down. The walls around the middle of the park, now known as World Celebration, have finally been removed. If I am correct, as of Tuesday, this past Tuesday, if you're watching this on the Saturday when I upload. And me being, me living in the middle of the country, I haven't quite made it out to EPCOT to view this brand new World Celebration expansion for myself. I'm going in January. I'm very excited. I'm going to film everything. I haven't made it out yet. But regardless, it is still very, very important that the front half of EPCOT is now complete. EPCOT 2.0, or whatever they're going to call it. It's not EPCOT Center anymore. It's not new EPCOT. I guess it's just EPCOT is now done. Or is it? At the end of 2016, Disney announced that EPCOT would be undergoing a massive okay, that's enough with the music, okay? I'm not that guy. At the end of 2016, Disney announced that EPCOT would finally be getting the upgrade it so desperately needed all these years. And in 2019, wow, that's 3 years later, walls finally went up around the original Fountain of Nations, the old Club Cool, and the old Fountain View Cafe. A little earlier in that year, though, in July, so that's fine, they started taking out the Leave a Legacy tombstone, plaques in front of Spaceship Earth. So, little things here and there to sort of allude to construction sort of beginning soon on this brand new take on EPCOT's entrance. And now, for almost, kind of 5-ish years later, World Celebration is finally open. Why, you ask? Did it take almost 7 years to complete this new version of EPCOT? And the answer to that is a lot of compounding factors. Budget cuts and COVID being the two big main reasons behind the pivot and the delayed opening. So we are going to go through all of the brand new updated areas in the front half of the park, formerly known as Future World, and compare them to what used to be there and see whether or not it improved or got a lot worse. And what, if anything, remains to be done, and things that they may have missed, things that have not yet been announced. That was as good as an evil laugh gets from me, sorry. Now, even though most of you may know that I am a die-hard EPCOT Center fan and a die-hard new EPCOT fan, I don't really think all of the changes have been improvements. While there definitely have been some changes that I really, really like, not all of them are great. And why not start with the entrance? I have no notes here. Well, maybe one note. You can see here in this photo that when the new entrance first opened up, the base of the fountain was this sort of gray stone color, because that's exactly what it is. But over over the years, as weathering and the water have taken their toll on the base, it has sort of oxidized and turned this orange rust color. Now, I'd much prefer it if we went back to the original color scheme. I know Disney doesn't have control over, you know, the element of water, but I just think it looks a lot better. You could use a different sort of stone or a different material to make that permanently gray. It just fits in better with the area around it. And if you look at this piece of concept art, obviously the rusting was not part of the plan. So it's just something to think about, Disney. It wouldn't take that much work. I mean, it'd take a lot of work, but it'd be worth it, right? But that's nitpicking, right? Me whining about nature being a thing and having effects on the theme park, it's just a minor qualm I have with the new entrance. I love the renewed focus on plant life at the front of Epcot. I think trees and plants are really, really gonna help keep this from being the concrete jungle that Hollywood Studios sort of is now and that Epcot used to be, at least in Future World. I'm telling y'all, give these trees a few years to grow in, to get bigger, to root themselves, get some leaves going, it's gonna be insane. You're gonna be blown away by the amount of shade we're getting. Something I also think is worth mentioning is the new ticket booths. Not really new, it's the same building, but they repainted them to all be like a nice, cool rainbow color. I guess I sort of skipped over it because this is not even the entrance, this is before the entrance, but it's a nice little touch of cohesion that helps add so much more to that main ticket scanning entryway. Okay, moving forward now, we're gonna skip Spaceship Earth because we're gonna talk about that a little bit later and the precarious situation it finds itself in to the full and finally complete World Celebration. And I gotta say, the gardens. I mean the gardens. If there's one thing that I want you to take away from this video that I love about New Epcot, it's the World Celebration Gardens. Did it take way too long, nearly 4 years, to do some landscaping and hardscaping where the Fountain of Nations used to be? Yeah, but it's open now, so I'm gonna talk about how it looks now that it's open. One of the couple of notes that I have for the World Celebration Gardens is I don't really love this rust material, this rust look that they're going for with these trees and these benches. I just don't think it looks very good, looks old, it looks sort of abandoned. If they had gone with, I don't know, stainless steel or this sort of white material that the lights are made out of in the central area of the Guardians, I think it would have looked a lot better. Maybe I'm missing what they were going for with this and a more earthy vibe. I don't know, I don't think it looks very good at all. And the other note I have for this area is that it is painfully in need of a beautiful, large, medium-sized water fixture. People often point to this planter when they're talking about where a potential water feature could be. It looks like it's like the base of a fountain a little bit, right? Am I insane? I guess the number of water features and fountains at Epcot is numbered, and we can only have one in Future World / World Celebration at a time. So we lost the Fountain of Nations, which I actually really liked, and we gained the new Epcot Pylon Fountain up in front of Spaceship Earth. Aside from that, though, and what I'm gonna say is about to sound like the most, Disney apologist thing I could possibly say ever, I really like the World Celebration Gardens. The amount of greenery and open space it provides to just roam and appreciate the park is sorely needed at Epcot. I've also seen people comparing it to, like an outdoor shopping mall or a business park, and can you look me in the eyes right now and tell me with complete honesty that this wasn't the exact same? Like, come on, it's just 80s vibes instead. You have to hit that balance, and honestly, I think that the new World Celebration Gardens hits that balance better than the old Future World Hub. And then you visit at night, and it just is an entirely different situation, and it's just even better? Come on, this is good. Did it take a long time for them to build? Yes. Was there COVID and different, difficulties while they were building it? Also yes. Was there a pivot in the vision for New Future World when they were building it? Yeah. Is Epcot also more or less built on top of a giant sinkhole? Yeah, I don't know what that has to do with the construction. Maybe something, but I just thought it was a fun fact. If you want to resort to it took them 4 years to build this is what we get after 4 years of work and walls in the middle of Epcot. You have to I invite you to sit down on a rusty bench and think for a second, right? Obviously, not all 4 of those years were used to just build a couple of planters. They had to tear out everything that was there before. That's building foundations, that's fountain foundations, and then COVID happened, shut down the park for a year, and then now we could start building. So obviously, there's gonna be a bit of a wait for these planters and these plants, but I think for what the vision of New Epcot is, that this actually fits really, really well. Just why rust? Why? And the Walt the Dreamer statue is absolutely amazing. Now you can sit back, relax, and have a little chat with Walt, just like you can with Roy and Minnie over at the Magic Kingdom. I saw it at D23 in person. I don't know if it's the same statue, but it was awesome, and I'm really glad that Epcot has its own Walt statue now. All that's left is Animal Kingdom and Hollywood Studios, and you've got yourself a Walt statue in every single Disney park in America. And something that just absolutely reinforces my love for this new area and the statue and Epcot as a whole, Attractions Magazine was actually interviewing some Imagineers when this new area opened. And they talked about how Walt was positioned in such a way that he's looking out not only over the gardens, but over the entire World Showcase Lagoon, and he is not perfectly symmetrical with Spaceship Earth and the planter. If you were to draw a perfectly straight line, obviously not perfectly, but you know what I mean, through Spaceship Earth, it would line up perfectly with the fountain in front of it and the planter behind it. But Walt is sitting more off to the side. He's not perfectly lined up right in the middle of the action. He's off to the side just taking it all in, and that, my friends, shows that even if this wasn't their original idea for the New World celebration, even if Imagineers had to work on a reduced budget, it still shows the attention to detail and the love that each and every one of these people have for Epcot. And I'm sorry if you don't, but dang it, I love it. And I have just over a month until I get to visit there and experience this all for myself and be a Disney apologist down there in person. It's gonna be great. Off to the side from that, we have Moana, The Journey of Water, which I have not gotten to see yet, so here is the only footage I have documenting that walkthrough attraction. Soon, though. Soon, okay? The land, the seas, and Journey into Imagination remain largely the same as they were back in the decade before this whole thing started. Now, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, I am going to leave completely up to you. Minus the addition of Moana, The Journey of Water, World Nature remains largely the same as it was back when it was known as Future World, you know, in the 2010s, and the 90s, and the 80s, and the 2000s. I think that's all the decades. Meanwhile, on the other side, we have Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind, which, by all accounts, is a very big success when it comes to a re-theme of an existing pavilion. Does it fit with the spirit of Epcot? I mean, it's not super educational. I will argue that the Galaxarium feels very classic Epcot, almost like Communicore updated, if that makes sense. But the ride itself is a roller coaster. I mean, come on, there's only so much educating you can do during a roller coaster. Although, it does feature a model of the galaxy, the moon, and the Earth in between all of the, the loud music and twists and turns, so that's sort of, educational. Oh, look, there's Central Florida. Oh, look at the topography of the Himalayas. How cool. That sort of thing. Cool. Good job, Disney. Pat on the back. Mission Space remains largely unchanged. We did get a new pre-show for it, and Test Track will be receiving an update. It hasn't gotten it yet, but it is inspired by the original World of Motion, which is very exciting to hear, so I will be talking about that probably non-stop as construction progresses. Space 220 is a great restaurant, and if you don't want to spend as much money on the prefix meal, the dining courses, you can just sit at the bar. You can order entrees and sit and enjoy the atmosphere. Space 220 is lovely, and it's a really, really good homage to classic Epcot. I feel like Space 220 would be at the original Disneyland, much less the original Epcot. Space 220 is great. A question that remains unanswered, though, is the Play Pavilion and the former Wonders of Life. Nothing has happened to it. It just sits there, abandoned to this day. They did some re-roofing, they changed some materials on the outside a while ago, but other than that, nothing much is going on there. Now, like with World Nature, whether or not that's a bad thing or a good thing, I'm going to leave up to you. Me personally, I really hope that they have canceled the Play Pavilion. I just don't think it was a good idea, and I don't think it would have aged very well. Like, it's been, 4 years since the announcement, and it already hasn't aged well. Just the Emoji Pavilion? Come on, Disney, you can do better. I know you can do better. I foresee us hearing something about it next year at D23 2024. If we don't hear anything, just expect a wrecking ball. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say. Moving on, did you really think I was gonna do this video without talking about Club Cool? Club Cool is one of the best things at Epcot, okay? Club Cool is where it's at. I was gonna have this whole bit where I drink Beverly, but I don't live anywhere near a Coca-Cola store, so I can't do that. But just know that Club Cool is almost as good as it has always been. There's just no Melon Frosty Fantas. That's the big problem with Club Cool these days. Now I gotta go all the way to Disney Springs to get my hit of Melon Frosty Fanta once a trip. So that's a whole different escapade I have to go on. It's a whole thing, okay? And I don't like to talk about it. Now, Melon Frosty Fanta's almost as good as the Disneyland Mint Julep. Almost. Not quite there yet, but it's close. And of course, I would be remiss if we skipped right over the Creations Shop, the dreaded replacement to Mouse Gear that is now open. It has been for a little while, actually. And I feel like the most apt comparison I can make is the modern day Disney stores, or what's left of them, versus the older Disney stores that are now mostly closed that used to be in malls all over America. Older Disney stores, and even like Mouse Gear and World of Disney to an extent, were sort of kitschy. where everything was very colorful, very gaudy, there were characters everywhere, and I'm not saying gaudy and kitschy like it's a bad thing. These are aesthetics that actually I do appreciate. But then for the sake of, say, modernism, cohesion, and maybe a little bit of futurism, they changed the aesthetic of Creations / Mouse Gear completely. Some people like it, some people don't. I do think there are wonderful touches of Disney in this shop. For the most part though, it's just a little bit too bland. It needs something, in my opinion, because, you know, for festivals and anniversaries, they have little displays with like Figment and Minnie and Mickey and classic Epcot garb, and that's wonderful. That's a little bit of kitsch, a little bit of that Mouse Gear presence. However, I do think it could and honestly should be taken just a little bit further to give it a bit more character rather than everything sort of being very clean, very white, very beige. The murals are absolutely gorgeous. The pieces of artwork that they have on the walls are wonderful. Just a little bit more of that, and that will help really sort of bring out the character of this gift shop. I think shopping at Disney should be an attraction in of itself. It is that way sort of at, like, I guess a good example for me would be Merlin's Cauldron over at Fantasyland at Disneyland. That's a great shop. The Plaza Point Holiday Shop over on Main Street at Disneyland, or Memento Mori at the Magic Kingdom by the Haunted Mansion, those are all wonderful examples of detail done right. In terms of merchandise sold, I will never, ever, ever part with this Epcot jacket. I love it so much, and whenever someone takes a picture with the flash on, it's just comedy. Pure comedy ensues. Oh man, all of this talking about new Epcot is making me hungry. Are you all hungry? Why don't we stop by Connections Cafe to grab something to eat? Now, Connections is interesting. I actually appreciate it a bit more than I appreciate the Creations shop, and it's gonna get a little confusing as I go here. I might mix them up if I haven't already. Despite having the same sort of sanitized modern feel that Creations has, Connections Cafe just feels more Epcot with the murals and this wonderful, almost like museum piece of teapots from around the world. Like, that is Epcot. That's classic Epcot. It feels in a weird way that there was more attention paid to the restaurant than there was to the gift shop because it's more colorful, it's more dynamic. There's Easter eggs referencing the original experimental prototype Community of Tomorrow just on the floor. There's something to look at, there's stuff to admire. I mean, the semi-exposed kitchen where you can watch cast members make food items, it's amazing. It's like Main Street USA where you can watch them make the caramel apples. And did I mention the mural? It feels like it's almost in the same vein as the mural in front of Spaceship Earth, you know, attached to the base of Spaceship Earth there. That one is in a league of its own, but the Connections Eatery mural feels like classic Epcot Future World goodness. Something you would find painted on the wall as you took your seat to board an Omnimover to ride through, you know, a cheesy opening day dark ride. I've walked through it plenty of times just to soak in the atmosphere and to get to the middle of the park from Guardians of the Galaxy. But how's the food, you ask? It's an eatery, you must have some sort of food review, and I do, for one thing that's on the menu. I've only eaten there once, and I had the pizza, and it's actually pretty good. Better than any Tomorrowland pizza you can find at Disneyland. I'm not sorry, Alien Pizza Planet. Do better. There you have it. If you're ever wondering why I don't review food from the Disney parks, it's because that's about as good as it gets. It's pretty good, out of 10. Try it out. If you want the real stuff, though, you gotta go to Via Napoli. Okay, that's the real good stuff. But that about wraps everything up, except for I'm assuming Communicore Hall is going to be opening next year sometime in 2024, and that will sort of end up being a wrap for new Epcot. Epcot 2.0 will be done with the opening of Communicore Hall. As far as we know, there is nothing on the schedule for Journey into Imagination, Land, Seas, or Mission Space. All of those are just up in the air right now. Although I will say with Figment and Journey into Imagination, specifically with the movie coming out sometime in the unspecified future, maybe we will see some sort of change coming to that pavilion if the movie is a success. Now, all the way back at the beginning of the video, I mentioned we would make our return to Spaceship Earth because this is the one attraction I really want to shine a spotlight on. You know, I think the Land and Seas are going to stay the same, Journey into Imagination, like I said, movie, but Spaceship Earth has me confused. So I made a little meme here. I'm actually really proud of it. I mean, you could replace Spaceship Earth update with a lot of stuff, like Journey into Imagination update or Play Pavilion, but you get the gist of what I'm trying to communicate to you here, right? I mean, come on, it was meant to be the centerpiece of World Celebration, and don't get me wrong, okay, exterior-wise, it still is. But God, the points of light are so good. I'd argue it looks better at night than the castle, but the inside, as much as I love Spaceship Earth, Disney, you announced an update to it in 2019. Like the Play Pavilion, it is time to come out publicly and just either acknowledge that it's not going to happen, or acknowledge that it is going to happen just in the far future. One of the two, although I'm leaning towards Spaceship Earth staying the way that it is today. At this point, if you were to ask me my honest opinion, I do not think a Spaceship Earth update is going to happen. happen anytime soon. Now, time for that question I keep asking you all. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? And honestly, my answer for this one may sound a bit confusing, but both. I do think a Spaceship Earth update would go a long way in helping revitalize EPCOT, and I would actually really look forward to one. But I also think there's a certain charm in the old Spaceship Earth, or I guess the current Spaceship Earth. And not even like cheesy or bad charm. There just is that classic Disney ride charm with Spaceship Earth these days, and I would honestly, I'm okay if they change it. I'm okay if they keep it the same. I'm happy right now, honestly, when it comes to Spaceship Earth. The outside. Let me tell you about the outside. As long as they keep that Rome burning scene in so we can keep smelling that wonderful, wonderful smoky smell, I'm in. I'm all the way in. Which actually happens to remind me. Oh, hello. I'm Dallin Offhand, and you know what? I'm having a little bit of a problem today, a little bit of an issue. Come with me. You see, I'm having a bit of a problem feeling the reason for the season with this just random off-brand cinnamon-scented candle. It just smells like cinnamon. It doesn't smell like my favorite Disney attraction or the fall of the Western Empire somewhere on the Earth. I don't know, maybe Rome. Ugh. Did I hear someone say fall of the Western Roman Empire? Oh, hello, welcome to the advertisement. I hear you're having some trouble. Smelling the season. Did you write this? Yes, it is true. I'm having trouble smelling the season. Maybe this can be of a help, of an assistance. What is this? Christmas shop? From the Magic Candle Company. Yes, it is true. I'm not reading. It's from the Magic Candle Company, okay? I used offer code Offhand to get 15% off of the entire purchase. I also got another one here, if you want that. I do like the smell, and it is appropriate for the season, but it doesn't remind me of the fall of the Western Roman Empire. Just take the freaking dang candle. Would you stop throwing them at me? Jeez. Well, I'll be. Yes, and you. Yes, and points. You too can get your very own Rome-scented candle by following the link in the description down below and using offer code Offhand to get 15% off of your purchase. And if you do not like candles, fear not, they also have hand sanitizer, room spray, and wax melts, as well as bath products. They have that much? All right. Remember, that's offer code Offhand. Well, thanks to you, my friend, I can proudly report that it does smell like the fall of the Roman Republic in this room now. Spaceship Earth. The scene from Spaceship Earth. Also. Alright, well that's all this says. So I'll be downstairs doing anything better with my time because you gotta get me for the ad this week. I get it. I haven't been on camera for a while. Fine. Who cares? It's like I'm there. It's like I'm riding the Omnimover attraction Spaceship Earth that has a very uncertain future. I mean, seriously, what's the plan, Disney? What are we doing with it? See, I brought it full circle. I really like the idea of the story lights, and I hope they keep it, but you know, you never know with Disney. A lot of things are subject to change, if anything changes at all. So all we have to do is wait for Communicore Hall to open, and then we will have a complete, at least for confirmed projects, EPCOT 2.0. What are your thoughts so far? Are you happy with what we've gotten so far? Are you a little bit disappointed, but you know, there are good things about it? Or are you just completely upset they're disgracing the legacy of EPCOT and Walt is turning in his grave as we speak? All of the opinions are welcome down below in the comments. Let's talk about it. It's not the same caliber of what they announced back in 2019 when the whole EPCOT renovation project was kicking into gear, but I'd be lying if I said that I didn't like what we have now more than what we had back in, in the 2010s. Although that may be a different story from what we had back in the 80s and 90s, back when, there was upkeep and everything was brand new. But Future World in, say, 2017 really did need something. It just gave off dying mall vibes, and I'm really glad they changed it and updated it. And even if some aspects did leave me wanting more, water feature, I am happy with what we got. I'm happy with the update. That being said, if they ever do anything to Living with the Land as part of a new EPCOT update, I will be staging a sit-in protest, and you are all invited. I'm just saying, Disney, don't touch it. Leave it alone. It's perfect. Hello everybody, thank you so much for watching this video on New EPCOT. We sort of wrapped up the discussion on New EPCOT in this video, minus Interventions, or did I say Interventions? Communicore Hall. And since Disney's wrapping it up, I figured I would wrap up the discussion as well. I probably will do one more video in person there when Communicore Hall opens, but other than that, New EPCOT. What do you think? If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to hit the like button, and if you're new around here, you want more videos like this discussing Epcot and changes coming to the Disney parks and changes that have been made to the Disney parks, please hit that subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate it. And if you are interested in getting early access to videos, different cuts of videos, and Patreon videos, which I am working on right now, please head down to the link in the description down below, and even just $1 will get you access to all of the Patreon perks to my that are offered to my Patreon supporters. To all of you who are already subscribed on Patreon, thank you so much. You help keep this channel chugging along, doing what it does, and I am very, very thankful. Last but not least, though, to wrap it up, if you want to follow me on other social media platforms, I'm on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Threads at Offhand Disney. If you want some more Offhand Disney content, head over to those websites, and they're pretty easy to find. It's just the same username. I don't re-upload my TikToks anywhere. Maybe I should, but that's exclusive Offhand video content that you can't find anywhere else. So again, I am at Offhand Disney on all of the platforms, but that, I believe, wraps it up, everybody. Thank you all so much for watching this video. I look forward to seeing you all in the next video. I promise this time it will not be about Epcot or Epcot Center. Okay, that's two in a row. I'm gonna go back to Disneyland next week, I think. I like to talk about Disneyland. Everybody, thanks again. Goodbye.